music. I think what we have to be careful of, and you did this, better than anybody in your last book, Why White Kids Love Hip Hop. We hear these numbers over and over again. I mean, CNN did this ridiculous set of programming 2 weeks ago. Hip hop, is it art or poison if somehow it can't be both, right? And that we can think about it more complex than that. And Paul Azan just threw out this number and never positioned anybody to question it, but 80% of hip hop's audience is young white men. It's like, okay, Paul Azan, where would you get that number from? Right, and all of us have thrown out these numbers, right, working very sloppily in terms of what the realities are as scholars and journalists. But the reality is that given how SoundScan functions, how the hell would we ever know who's white and who's black that buys an album? Right. When you go into a record store, SoundScan doesn't snap a picture of you to say who bought the album. So part of it has always been this distinction that, well, we can gauge who buys records based on where things are bought in particular regions, right? So if there's a large amount of sales in an upscale mall in the suburbs, it's presumed that obviously those are white kids who are buying it, as if black kids don't live in these same upscale suburbs. And guess what? Poor black kids know how to ride a bus and get on a train and drive a car themselves to those same malls. So while it's clearly a white audience is significant to the success of hip-hop, let's not simply pretend that somehow these performances are simply geared towards black audiences. There weren't a whole lot of white folks watching the Wayans Brothers show, right, if we want to put this in some sort of context, right? So clearly there are black audiences who are finding these performances entertaining in and of themselves, and the question is not whether or not they find these things entertaining, but are they able to discern as audiences that it is what it is, right? Just simply a performance that in some ways makes fun to black folks